Hi, welcome to the createYES Summit for your environmentability. We're sustainable about more than just climate change, but also about how we live from our inner life and how that can affect the world. My name is Victoria Bard, the founder of createYES, and I am thrilled beyond measure to introduce my first guest for day one of this summit, Harrison Klein. He's someone that I met a decade ago, I think, at least, and I've been in his tribe for quite a while. He is an award-winning personal growth transformationalist, a wealth and business growth consultant, and his mission is to change 1 million lives personally around the globe and to help entrepreneurs, salespeople, executives, and more. Companies achieve the best versions of themselves and reach fulfillment. Yes, and I'm hello.
Hi, Victoria. Thank you for having me, and thanks for kicking off this whole process with me. That's exciting. I love it. Okay, we're gonna have a good time here.
We are definitely going to do that. We don't know what's coming yet, but we're on for the ride. You have an event. Yeah, you have an event coming up this week, and we talk about that because we're doing great things. You want to tell us briefly what that is?
Yeah, the current program that's actually kicks off on Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern is called the Emotional Laws of Success. And it's about rebooting your brain and rewiring your brain into a much higher state. There's been a lot of talk in the last probably year and a half or two about about emotional intelligence. But after I read several of those books, basically what I realized is that they didn't go deeply enough. They were all kind of mental constructs. But we have to go to the feeling construct. And the feeling construct is the emotional place where we foundationally lay the ability to penetrate and to activate our subconscious to work on our behalf. And the emotional laws have to do with generating the correct states of mind, or rebooting our mind into the correct place of success, and using all that intelligence, that mental intelligence, to supplement what is our highest levels of celebration. What are our highest levels of celebration? Because when we're happy, everything turns to ease. When we're joyful, I mean, it becomes a fun process to do anything, and we become better at what we do because there's not that resistance and that struggle and that push and that kind of pull experience where we're in trying to drag ourselves or discipline ourselves into something. You know, we don't have to discipline ourselves towards something we love or something that we care about. And how do we know we care about something? Because we're in a high emotional state of vibration, in a high emotional state of enjoyment, of love, of fun, and things of that nature. So the greater we have, the greater we're able to celebrate and generate the feelings of that according to whatever results we want, or link that to our results, you know, the greater becomes our ability to manifest and to succeed at whatever we do. So there are laws that govern that.
Well, I want to bring up a personal story of how you and I first met. I was in that vibration of a little bit higher, or we wouldn't have connected. And I was also in that place of not following my bliss, not being in the zone, dragging myself forward, not being pulled by. Back then you said to me, because I had so many ideas in my head, you said, well, just pick something and do it. Well, it took me about 10 years, but finally I have picked something and I'm doing what I'm finding. Voice has been in my head this whole time. So when someone crosses your path that can be impactful like that, their schmaltz, everything can be right with me. So you've been with me this whole time, and now here I am. I'm moving forward. I am more in joy, and the path is showing up. With each step, the path is there. And I want to thank you for part of the catalyst. No matter how long it took me to get there, here I am, and it's perfect.
We all evolve at our own pace, you know. When you're ready, the teacher appears, and when the circumstance dictates it, you know, we begin to know what we want to do, and we do it. So, you know, part of the problem is that most people don't make choices early, but if they leave things happen, we are a self-healing organism by nature, and we find our ways. So, you know, some people it takes a longer time in life, some people it takes lesser time, but either way, sometime during our lifetime, we experience what is really the most important thing to us. And as that evolves and emerges, you know, we have a clean direction and path to go toward and go with. So, yeah, well, I'm happy you found it. Here we are.
Yes, here we are. Well, I wanted to start with what you're doing right now with the emotional laws of success. That's not where you started either. So I hear that you've got this really powerful story to share of how you went from where you were and had that transitional moment to set you on this path towards success. Can you talk about that?
Sure. You know, I don't know your audience, but many people have heard me talk about this before. But there is a term in the Japanese language called satori. And what it means is a sudden enlightenment. And it is a spontaneous healing of all of you and creates a unity of your energy. It's like standing on a train platform for one moment, and the next moment you jump onto a train moving 100 miles an hour or 100 miles an hour while you're just trying to hold on. It's a gigantic infusion of energy. So I was in 1972, I believe it was. I
Mhm.
was sitting in my apartment then, and most people don't know that I was autistic for the first 28 years of my life, or actually 23 of those 28 years. I remember the moment I went into autism, but uh,
Mm.
in my 28th year, I'm sitting in this apartment in Cleveland, Ohio. It's my apartment in a kind of a busy, dark district, and it's 3 o'clock in the morning, or approximately that time. And I'm in an overstuffed chair. And that time I was an art student, so I was sketching, and I was sketching something in my own apartment. And without warning, I just suddenly, all of a sudden, was yanked out of my body. I was put in this white tube of light, and my consciousness went spinning through the universe. It went just faster than the speed of light. It was just colors coming at me, patterns coming at me, planets birth and dying, galaxies spinning, and in the background I'm hearing unearthly sounds like choirs of angels. I now
Mm.
interpret it as choirs of angels, but it was a music that I'd never heard before, nothing earthly at all. And you know, I was just moving at this incredible velocity, and all these things were happening. I was going through dust clouds, I was going through stars, I was going through enormous kinds of vastness of space in very quick instances. So I was experiencing infinity and eternity simultaneously.
Mm.
And without I don't know how long I was in the experience. I might have been in it 2 minutes, might have been in it 2 hours, might have been in it, 5 hours. Who the hell knows? But when I was
Yeah, no
deposited,
way.
yeah, when I was deposited back in my body, was it kind of came in a thump like that, and I was like a shock. I no longer had the autism. I mean, I was totally.
Really?
Not only did I not have the autism, but my senses were enhanced. My vision was uh, um, extremely present, and I began to be so powerful in what I was able to see. I saw the vibrations of different colors. I saw yellows and grays and greens and reds vibrating at different pulsations, and I was able to actually see that. I was able to feel the energy of that vibration in my own apartment, in the furniture, in the drapes, in the carpet. I mean, I never saw anything like that. It was a totally new experience. My
Mm.
auditory sense was highly enhanced. So because of the autism, and most people don't know this, but most people in the autism may experience it this way, or at least I did. It was like a bad cell phone. So when people spoke, I could only hear about every third word of what they said. So like a bad cell phone signal, you can only hear a little bit of what people are saying, and your brain is trying to fill in the gaps from what you heard. So suddenly I was able to hear a conversation that was almost 30 yards away. I'm talking about 30 yards away, and I was able to hear people talking clearly as we're talking to each other right now. So my
Wow.
auditory enhances were highly enhanced. Then my body sensations were highly enhanced. In the autism, my body was numb. I had what Eckhart Tolle called a pain body, and I could not, well, anybody who came within 6 to 8 feet of me, I would experience stabbing pains in my ribs. And so I could not hug anybody. I couldn't touch anybody very well. So I was always, standoffish in that way. And that's part of the autism. A lot of autistic people can't be hugged. You can't touch them because they have what they call a pain body. So there's all this experience. Now, if you understand what all that is, basically, if you understand that there are such things as dimensions and layers of parallel universes that are all interwoven with each other, what an autistic state is a state of multiple parallel universes giving you stimulus simultaneously, and you have no focus to be able to focus on one, which is why the extraordinary fear and the extraordinary uh, kind of, inability to communicate and to connect is there, because you're constantly being stimulated by multiple things from different dimensions and universes, which you don't understand at the time because there's no verbiage to explain that, and there's no way you can explain it to a mind that hasn't already transcended it. So it just is that case. So when I came out of that autism, and when I came out of that and came back into what would be this normality, I also had my senses were enhanced. I became clairvoyant, clairaudient, and clairsentient simultaneously. So I could see the future, I could see the past, I could see vibrations, I could see auras, I could see all kinds of things. And it was all a whole new world to me. And I was, kind of in a state of awe, which hasn't left me for the last 52 years.
Now that's awesome.
Yeah. So it's very, very cool. And it's a place where, love resides, and the universe is mine to go with, to travel with, any place I want, to do anything I want with. So it's a higher state of vibration, and anyone can do it. I'm not unique in that way. And there are lots of people who have had satoris. I'm not saying I'm any better or worse than anybody else, but there is no path to that experience. The only path is love. You have to come. You can't think your way into the experience. And the problem with most people ascending and growing is that they try to think their way into things, and this is not an experience you can think your way into. You have to feel your way into it. And instead of focusing on what you see in front of you, you are focused on where your attention is within your body. And because you're focused on where your attention is, you are 360 degrees aware. So that's a whole new state of being that most people don't know anything about, and it's a state of unity. So your internal experience is not split. It's not a little bit here and a little bit there. It's all in the moment, and there's nothing like it. It's the most coveted experience on the planet, really. And I don't know why I was chosen, because I didn't do anything to get there. The only thing that
Well,
I
you were sketching, right? You were sketching.
was sketching, and
You
I was, I
do
was
that.
focusing and concentrating hard. If I had to say there was a sequence involved, this would be the sequence: attention, concentration, meditation, contemplation, satori. If there is that sequence, at least that is what we go through on our preparation to getting to the satori, to the enlightenment state, or to the state of awakening. I don't want to call it enlightenment, that's an overused word. So it's just a state of awakening where we are no longer in the trance, in the myopia of where things are. We're just simply a point of awareness. Nobody, no thing, nowhere, no how, no nothing, no time. So
I had what I might at this moment call a mini experience of Satori, sitting in meditation for a retreat for 3 months at Mount Baldy Zen Center in California, where I'm in the Zen Center in meditation, and then I'm out with a connection with the cosmos in the stars.
Yeah.
Not the Star Trek type of see all the colors zooming past, just here and then there. And I don't know how long that lasted either, but then I was back here. So that was a moment that I can remember. Yours has stayed for the whole time.
Yeah, if you have
Mine is like memory.
If you have a glimpse of it and you don't, and it's not sustained, then it's called the Kensho.
Kensho.
Yeah, Kensho, which is you glimpse into that dimension, and you're there for a little while, and you come back out. But a Satori is where it stays.
Great to have the reframe, because I didn't have the other word, but it certainly didn't match your experience, but it was an experience.
Yeah.
So I have some frame of reference to understand.
Well, it also says that your body understands the experience now, so that because your body has understood and experienced that, now you understand that the body wants to get back there for a sustained experience.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a very coveted place, and some
indeed.
Some meditators take 20 years to get there, but it doesn't have to take that long. It took me a lot of years, but I wasn't trying. I had no clue that that's what I wanted. But internally, I knew my desire was to be out of the state of autism. So I didn't know how, I didn't know why, I didn't know when. All I knew was that the moment prior to that experience, a quarter of a second prior to that experience, as I was clearing my brain about all the suffering that I had been through for all those years, I said to myself, what if all that suffering is really a form of love? And the next moment I had the experience.
Aha,
So
just gave me chills.
It would have been a trigger. I don't know if it was or not, but really it's a moment of grace. It's not something you can choose. Grace chooses you at a certain point. Yeah. You can prepare yourself, but you can't choose the moment of enlightenment or the moment of grace. So.
It sounds like the question that you asked was a what if question. I've heard people talk about phrasing things as what if to.
What if all this is, what if I can make $1 million? What if I can, have the relationship of my dreams? What if I can, be profound enough to influence thousands and hundreds of thousands of people? What if, and that sets up the ability to receive. So that's a cosmic opening. What if is a cosmic opening for you to receive particular kinds of energy and answers. So now, did I do that consciously? I wasn't conscious at the time. I had no idea. So I tripped upon that, I guess, but my body knew where it was going. My higher self knew where it was going, but my conscious self had no clue. So I didn't have any conscious self at the moment. All I had was huge resistance. No, don't put me through this. Don't do me through that. Don't do that. It was just my whole life was a gigantic no. I didn't want to be involved in anything. It was all too painful for me. So for people who are suffering, know that this awaits you. This awaits everybody on the planet. Sometimes it takes more than one lifetime, but it awaits every single person. A lot of people don't get the experience until they're right before their death, because they don't focus on anything having to do toward it. But right before their death, everybody gets it. At least sees the entire picture of their lives and sees the entire pictures of their experience in the cosmos right then and there, which is really unusual. It's usual for everybody, but it's unusual to be able to trigger it at will or get to a place where you can go there. And there are paths to prepare yourself for it. And that's part of what I teach in the emotional laws of success, because it's all an emotional state. And at the deepest part of ourselves, our emotions are energy in motion. So we're always in motion. Everything is a sine and a wave and a peak and a trough. And, the way that we experience our lives is in peaks and troughs. And there is no time space. There's no time space experience for things except to the extent that you believe there is on an intellectual basis. So thought is time. That is what thought is. Thought is time, taking us, our body, from one point of sensation to another. And, you know, that's all the time is. It's not successive moments on a clock. We interpret it as that because it's an agreement for the collective consciousness to say, I can meet you at 10 after 1 or whatever.
And show up.
And show up. But, you know, that's part of the being all the one, but none of that really exists when you transcend into being in the present moment. There's nothing but the present moment. So there's no such thing as time. It just is a happening.
Everything all at once. Here we are.
All at once. All of time and all of space all at once. And it's you. You're the point of awareness of all that. So it's a really beautiful thing. And in the emotional laws of success, basically, we try to move people toward that experience of higher consciousness, of energy, of love, of truth, of amazement, of awe, of joy, of celebration, of, you know, these higher states that create success, that is the embodiment of success, not the things you do to success, but you being the embodiment of success. And so all things must come to you. Success, when you are the embodiment of anything, everything having to do with that must flow itself into you. So it's a beautiful thing. Does that help?
Before we go into, I want to dive into your offering that's coming up on Wednesday. But before we get there, the premise of this whole summit that I'm putting together is that maybe things aren't quite where we want them right now, but there's a path, a way forward to shifting the whole planet, which you've done by having that experience. You've had an amazing impact on the planet and the world and people around you over the number of years that you've been working with people. And
life has been good to me.
What's that?
Life has been good to me.
Yes, and you got in that flow early. So it's all of, you know, our timing is our timing. But for someone listening right now who maybe is in that angst, what I'm wanting them to really see is that you said two different things. One, you said it just happens when it happens. But the other thing you said is you can plan for it. I really want people to hear both things, not just it only happens when it happens, because they might then think whatever their limiting beliefs are, but you can plan for it. And perhaps the emotional laws of success that you have coming up is how you can one step towards planning for that. Would that be correct?
There's a number of steps, you know, it's about raising your vibration. It's about raising your integrity and your level of awareness. And so we can do things that move us into higher states of being. Now, you can't have the overall experience by yourself. That has to come through source, through grace. But you can, you know, improve your ability to tell the truth. You can, you know, disassociate yourself from all the lies and all the masks that we've worn, you know, trying to impress or be something that, you know, we believe has value for us. We can, you know, go through desire, we can go through contemplation, as I said, or we can go through meditation and concentration. We can go through the process of practicing, you know, mindfulness. We can go through the process of being in a state of joy. So, you know, there is no way to happiness, right? Happiness is the way. Wayne Dyer said it that way. So what that means is you simply have to decide to act happy. And that will then bring happiness to you. You will be in a state there. It's not, you can't do this. You can't be sitting in front of the mirror, smiling, and then going out and saying nice things and all that kind of stuff. You know, but you have to act happy. You have to say, you have to be cheerful. You have to, you know, experience things as fun or joy or humorous or absurd or, you know, intense or whatever it is. So it is the beingness that we are that is important. That's the law of attraction. That's the law of being. The law of being is a state of mind. There's nothing A state of mind has nothing to do with doing. You can't do a state of mind. You can't do happiness. You can't do wealth. You have to be wealth, or you have to be happy. So the only way to do that is to simply be it. Is to simply decide that I'm going to act happy. So you get to that space. You simply decide that you are successful. Not, you don't have to do these things to get successful. You don't have to do step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But you can, get closer to things by saying, okay, well, this is a step toward my goal. This is a step toward my, feeling better. This is a step toward, I can reach for better feelings. I can go into a state of, communication in which I pause a second and clarify my thoughts before I speak. I focus intently on one thing and try to eliminate distractions around me by, dimming the lights, by having something either soft in a humming tone behind me, anything like that. So you can come into the states of being by just simply preparing yourself to be in that state of being. And that's going to go through desire. It's going to go through, first of all, you have to come to a desire. You have to want it. And when you want it, you have to then say, well, what's going to get me closer? What have I done wrong? What's one of the things that I've done wrong? And as you correct those things, you move into mastery of that stuff. Well, what's mastery? But tweaking whatever it is you're experiencing, so so you want to tweak it, you want to get better at whatever you want to do, and that will take you a long way toward the steps. So for example, in wealth, there are 3 things that are really super important. The first is self-esteem. What is self-esteem? Well, self-esteem is about self-respect, and it's about unconditional self-acceptance, and it's about being good at something. So those 3 things are the components and elements of self-esteem. The second part of wealth is having a vision that helps and that is good, or that helps vast numbers of people, so large volumes of people. So that's part of what it is. You're solving problems for volumes of people, not just one at a time, or not just your own. And the third part of wealth is to feel viscerally that you have a destiny to be wealthy. So that is the I am principle. The I am principle means that you govern energy.
You heard me. I was thinking the I am principles, and here they are.
And the I am principles are your identity principles. The first experience of all life is to be in the state of full awareness, like you are in a baby. You're just in this place of pure positive energy, and there's no you. So it's just me, all these, whatever's going on, there's just a happening in front of you. As we get older, we start to want to achieve things and be pure, connected, and other things like that. We start to create an identity. I am this, or I am that. And the words I am that I am were the words that God put into the physical plane when Moses asked, what is your name? And the I am is the governance of energy. It puts you squarely into the moment, and it claims something. So I am a good father. I am a great salesman. I am a great talk show host. I am a great basketball player. Whatever it is you decide you want to have as your identity is claimed by an I am. And when you claim it, it's yours. It's simply yours because you are the God force energy. So the claiming of it is you. The thing is, you have to consistently hold it until it becomes habitual. But the I am is the only governance of energy. And it signals to the universe to take whatever you attach to those words out to completion. So when you say, I am, a great interviewer, whatever, you then your subconscious takes that to completion. It takes that to completion. And as long as you don't contradict it, you're in that state. There comes a point where you no longer have to struggle to be there. There comes a point where you have momentum. Say, it takes like, the research is really very kind of varied on what it takes to have a habit. Anyway, people say from 21 days to 66 days, but whatever it is. But what we do know is that within about 10 days, if you practice the same thing, you create a momentum, a state of momentum,
Mm.
moving you toward a habitual state. And in the habitual state, you no longer have to think about it. You just become it. It just is you. And in that becoming, that I am, all things that are of that field of energy, everything is a field of energy, everything that is of that field of energy comes to you. And it's dramatic. It's very dramatic. So once it starts coming, Shakespeare said, once things come, they come in droves. So once you start making a little bit, you start making a lot.
Yes. Sometimes, and I know this from tremendous personal experience in my past self is no longer this, but take, for example, someone who's listening who says, yeah, but I am broke and I am stuck and I am single and I have no relationship and they have all of these things that they believe, maybe because it was imprinted from their family, their society, their school, their friends, their environment. And people may not even realize they're having an I am statement that is limiting like that. So when you present, just decide, I am wealthy, I am happy. Do you have a trick for flipping the switch, flipping the narrative to believing that you can say, I am now happy, or I am happy without the now, I think is more what we need to do. But help me here, because there's someone out there that needs to hear this, and I've already gone through it, but I don't have the language as much. So I pass the baton.
So there's two parts to that. Number one is the part that we have to understand that circumstances don't create our states of mind. We don't have happiness. It's not, happy circumstances that make us happy. It's
right.
Being happy that create happy circumstances. So as we self-talk and say, I am broke, I am without relationship, I am, suffering, I am or I am depressed, whatever the case may be, understand that that self-talk is actually creating that state of mind. It is, so you can't, get to a positive place from a negative space. So you have to the only way you can get to a positive space is to start with a positive. Or you can get neutral, so you have to spiral down, and then from the neutral space, you can start to go to a positive space. But, understand that when you say negative things, you are creating the circumstances of your negativity, especially with an I am. So some people, at some point wanted to make a point, in their early life or whatever, or from their parents or whatever, and they took an identity of saying, it serves me to say I am depressed. I'll get attention. I'll get some things, some sympathy or empathy from my parents, and maybe I'll, they may want to make me happier, so they'll give me more money or whatever the case may be. But what you're doing is you're habituating that state of mind. Now understand that everything has a field of energy. Energy is all that exists. It's another word for love. It's another word for awareness. It's another word for a number of different things. So as we speak, we create our realities. So the things that we say have everything to do with what we experience in this life, because this experience is just a matter of what our consciousness is reflecting back to us. So there's only a reflection. The world is a reflection of us. So, and every being and every animal and every landscape and every skyscape and every mindscape and every star out there is a reflection of something that's inside of us. So we get to that knowledge at a certain point where it's visceral, and we get to feel that in the most profound ways. So the I am is what determines where your focus is going to be. And if you focus on something negative, the rule is very simple, and that is what you focus on expands, what you take focus away from dissolves. It's as simple as that. So, never say what you don't want, because when you say what you don't want, it brings it. So
yeah, there it is. Again, see, I'm right. There it is. You prove it to yourself, but that's not the right proof for moving forward.
That's right. And the I am is what, and the I am is the governance of energy. So whatever you say, I am, you are then shaping energy into that experience. So sometimes a great meditation is just to sit into I am.
Mm.
And there are many different languages that talk about the mantra of Om, which is another way to say I am without any, designation of whatever you attach to it. So you go Om, I am, basically it's basically the same thing. So the I is the presence or the observation, and the M is the beingness of things. So you be that which you desire, or you be that, and understand that you are, no matter where you are, whether you're rich or poor, or happy or unhappy, or athletic or unathletic, or whatever, you're where you want to be. You always have been, and because you can't experience anything that you haven't desired. So I mean, it's a harsh reality to put on people, but once you get that reality, you begin to understand that you're responsible, and you can no longer blame anything else or anybody else out there for what you're experiencing. And so you begin to tweak you begin to clarify your desires, and you begin to tweak your behaviors and your language toward that clarification. So,
And the shift begins.
when the shift begins, and
Yes.
the shift goes on, and the beat goes on,
And the beat
and the
goes
beat goes
on.
on. Yeah.
Well, going on, let's go back to the emotional laws of success now, because we've talked to one type of listener who might be here, but who is the emotional laws of success for in particular, before we dive into a little more of what it is? Who is it for?
Well, I want to reach people who want greater success processes. So, it's for women who are in transition. It's for executives that want greater success. It's for people who feel empty about things. They've had a modicum of success, and yet they don't feel good about things. They don't feel good about themselves. It's for people who are spiritual by nature, because it governs the way that you experience yourself and the way you experience the world. It takes care of, seekers in the areas of, family, in the areas of health, in the areas of joy, in the areas of social awareness and impact, and things of that nature. So once we understand how to direct our emotions in the most profound way, it becomes simply a sort of a downhill glide to where you go. There's no friction in it. It's ease.
Skiing.
It's like skiing. Yeah,
Ski down the slope.
it's like skiing down the slope, except you're skiing up the slope.
Oh.
And with the same ease that you would ski down the slope. So so it's for people who want a successful experience, and understand that it's not about effort. It's about understanding. It's about decision. So deciding and then generating the success. So I want to reach kids. I want to reach teenagers. I want to reach housewives. I want to reach entrepreneurs. I want to reach people who have any kind of desire to make an impact in this world. And the thing that keeps people from having the impact they want is that they observe things and they say to themselves, this isn't what I want, blah, blah, blah. And so they create that situation. They create more of that situation.
More of what they don't want.
Yeah. So when you're in a celebratory state, when you're happy, when you're saying, wow, this is so cool, you're actually magnetizing that stuff to come to you. So we create ways of deeply integrating and penetrating and internalizing that state of mind, so that you can be there all the time. So I haven't been in a different state of mind for 52 years. I mean, I have an occasional dip when there's something tragic happens, but I don't feel, a dip in my emotions. I feel a lot of spikes in my emotions because I'm happy, and anything triggers that happiness to be better. but I don't feel any dips. I mean, people come to me and they're depressed and they cry and they have problems and they have all kinds of different, experiences that they want to overcome. And the thing is that, it's all emotional. So, it's that they have attached an emotion to their problems. And when you remove the emotion from the problem, then the problem becomes neutral. And then when you attach a positive emotion or a big emotion to that neutrality for where you want to go, then now you're amplifying the situation to a great extent. So the amplification of your happiness brings all kinds of other people that want that or that are already of the same vibration. So if you guys want to be happy, if you guys want to have success, if you guys want some great, very simple things, I mean, actions and disciplines that don't take very much effort, we can provide that for you in a very simple 2-hour workshop that, is less than $20. So, I mean,
Ah,
I
yep.
guarantee we can change your life in under 120 minutes. So that's
This I know is true, having worked with you before. I know this is true. You can change in 20 minutes, 20 hours, 2 hours.
it changes in an instant. It just is the ability to sustain it is to be able to understand what the change is. So when you have a Satori, for example, or when you have a Kensho, it's all, you're in the unknown, right? So
Mhm.
you've never seen that before. You've never experienced that before. You're simply in a state of awe. And if you're really good, you're in a state of appreciation. If you're crazy a little bit, you may not be in a state of appreciation. You may think you're crazy, having shifted into this other dimensional experience. You may think, I'm in a sci-fi, I'm in a different movie, I'm losing my mind, et cetera, et cetera. And many people do. I mean, they get that experience. They don't know what to do with it, and because they don't have a direction and they don't appreciate it for what it is, it moves them in a darker place, to a darker place. But it is pure light. And what does light do? It splits darkness, right? Light is what splits darkness. And so you can be in the dimension of light, which is the fifth dimension. And you then are, whatever it is dark is revealed to you because you're shining a spotlight on things that have been hidden in the shadows. So good things come from that situation because now you know how to deal with anything. The dimension above that is like creativity. So now you take what you've learned in the light and you use it to create something, whatever that happens to be. And then the dimension above that is influence. So when you've used your creativity coming from the light, now you have influence in places and in vibrations and in ripples you've never, you know, you can't even imagine. It's like somebody who writes a book that influences 250,000 people that he'll never meet, never see, never know, never have any idea of whatsoever. But, his energy has made an impact on somebody else's energy. So in the dimensional growth process, it's all emotional. So, when, a rock star performs in front of 120,000 people, the energy that he feels is explosive within himself. It's amazing. You know, he's in total unity at that moment. I mean, he may not be in unity after he leaves the stage, but because of the exchange of energy between 120,000 people and his desire and his vision and his, emotional state, the ripples go out in dramatic fashion. So, if you ever imagined yourself to be a rock star, what's it like to be in front of 120,000 people doing something that thrills them? Can you imagine the state of emotional ecstasy that is?
I actually can.
Yeah, yeah.
Standing in the Superdome at Super Bowl 20 halftime show, I was traveling with people, and that is, I don't even know how many people are in the Superdome, but it's massive.
Yeah.
And the energy, I mean, so I had that experience as well, but how do we sustain? There's the question: the experience, the understanding, the awareness, the sustaining. So is
Sustaining,
that part of what people, is that part of what it's about with your emotional laws of success on
yes,
Wednesday? What
yes.
is that about? Let's talk about that a little
I
more.
want people to internalize the experience. So, you know, it's one thing to have the experience. It's another thing to integrate and internalize it as you. So, so part of what you do, you know, we have 5 faculties of mind. We actually have 6, but 5 major faculties of mind. We have, you know, memory, we have perception, we have imagination, we have intuition, and then we have um, will. So those are the 5 faculties of mind. Now, if you can link any of those faculties to that state of mind, you know, then you come into that space of integration and
Mm.
internalization. So, you know, you can come back in your memory to those things and you link it to the I am will. I am willfully experiencing this. You know, you link it to different things. So you link it to, you know, I intuitively feel this every day. You know, I am so on. I'm perceiving that energy all around me. You know, that kind of thing. So as you link these things, you start to internalize them, and you know, it doesn't take a lot of discipline to do something you love, you know, because you're inspired. So it's an inspiration. And when you're inspired, basically, your vibrational frequency is very, very high. And so the things that you want, the resistance dissipates around you. It just dissolves and dissolves and dissolves. And even if you've had resistance all of your life, it switches. So there is a video on YouTube called, it's an ad for Lufthansa, and you know, the airline's a German Airlines, and it's Lufthansa.taxi ride New York. But it's a state whereby it's a 1-minute video, and the video is where, you know, a guy gets into a taxi and he's driving through New York at a very fast rate, but there's all this abrasive, scarring, you know, intense kind of dissonant music that's in the background, and it makes you crazy. It starts to really drive you nuts. And then at a certain point, about 30 seconds into that you know, terrible uncomfortability, you know, it switches to Pachelbel's canon, which is
Ah.
a composed a piece or a composed piece of peace. It's a composed music of peace, a beautiful feeling of softness and soothing and just being in the place. And you can make that switch in 1 second. You go from the abrasiveness into the peace in 1 second, which means that you have that capability within you. If you can feel the 2 things viscerally, you have that capability within you. So then you have to understand that all you have to do is release. So most people have a difficulty when you say release that emotion or let go of this or let go of stop that. They don't know how to do that. But I have a very simple metaphor so that you can feel it very easily. So you can do this in your imagination. You might not be able to do it in reality. Let's say you're walking into a gym, right? And you are a weightlifter. And you see on the ground, there's a barbell there with 300 pounds. Now, most people can't lift 300 pounds, let alone get it above their heads. But, you know, say you're weightlifter. So in your imagination, you grab the barbell, you clean and jerk it so it's over your head. And then you've seen these programs where you see these, you know, super strong people, when they get it above their heads, they toss the weight forward and it bounces on the mat, right? Have you seen that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You know what the feeling is like to release that? Can you imagine? Project yourself into that. You've gotten the weight above your head. Now you just toss the weight. So
Oh, it's very light.
yes, so it gives you a great sense, a wave of relief across your entire body. And that's what releasing feels like. And so if you ever want to let go of something, you can just go to that metaphor. Yeah, just toss the weight. You have all this, you know, gigantic thing that you're carrying, you know, gigantic volume of weight that you're carrying. You just toss
And
it,
you just saw my shift, yes?
and you shift. It shifts you.
Yeah.
It shifts you immediately. It lets a sense of relief wash over you. You know, and that's what allows you to come back to that state, because it's so dramatic, because the difference between the 2 is so dramatic, like the difference between the abrasive dissonant music and the Pachelbel canon. You know, the drama is big and it's instant, but because you see that you can viscerally feel it, you make the shift. And so now you know what that shift is like. And so you can now take any time or any emotion or any situation or circumstances, and the shift will happen.
Mhm.
So as simple as that. So you can
That's
get,
gold.
it is gold. I can
That's
tell you,
gold.
I break people's 30 years worth of depression in like minutes sometimes. And they never have it again. Sometimes it takes a few days, sometimes it takes a few sessions or a month or whatever. But anybody can break their depression. Anybody can break their, frustration, their anger, their fearfulness, their non-forgiveness. They just release. It's just a matter of release. And so,
Along with the I am meditation, add the movement of the hands and releasing the barbell.
exactly.
It seems like, step one, step two, or both at the same time, or don't even think about it, just do both, be both.
It's very powerful. It's very powerful. There are lots of other ways too, if you wanna move from one state of mind to another. Okay, you understand that the left part of your brain is responsible for the right side of your body, and the right side for the left part. So you know that the state of unity is where both parts of your brain function together. Now, the left side uh, is logic, and the right side is intuition, I believe. I don't know, I sometimes think of those mixed.
Yeah.
Well, one is intuitive and the other one is logical. So to gain mastery of those two things and unite them so that you're in a state of unity, basically, what you have to do is exaggerate each to a state where it is not, it bypasses the mental process into the physical process, into this state of beingness. So part of what we do, I have a technique I call toggle. And basically it is, we take one experience. So let's just say you are really highly depressed, or you're really angry. Let's just say you're really angry, okay? And the opposite of that is say you're really joyful, okay? So what I want you to do is to then focus on how angry you are, and then on a particular situation. Let's just say you're angry at your brother or your mother or your boss, or your children or your circumstances or whatever. And now I want you to exaggerate that to some dramatic level, to where you're ready to kill and you've got a knife and you want to stab somebody. You're just in hate. You're
Yes.
in intense, you're intense anger, to the point of exaggerated hate. You're ready to decapitate somebody. And then in an instant, I want you to now remember what it feels like to be in a joyful situation, the happiest moment of your life. I want you to go to that space, and then I want you to amplify that. I want you to amplify that to such an extent that now you are floating in the cosmos, and you are high above the earth, and you're experiencing this massive amount of joy and energy, 1,000 times stronger than you are normally. And it's just pure positive ecstasy coming up. So then you go back to the other state. So you go back to the state of where you're hate and you want to decapitate, and and you want to kill, and you want to zoom, and then you amplify that as much as you can, 1,000 times. And then in another 20 seconds, then you switch over to the other one. Then you switch over to the joy. You keep going back and forth. And what that does is it teaches your body to know that you are in control of the emotional state. Does that make sense?
Yes.
When your
And
body,
in going through this with you, I'm feeling the tension, the density, the in putting myself there, and then the immediate release of it, the lightness, the not it's not dense.
It's weightlessness, yes.
Floaty. Thank you. That's the word.
Yeah, it's weightlessness with joy. Yeah, so it's the ecstasy of being weightless, and the more weightless, the less weightless, or the more weightless you are, the more joy you can experience, right? Because there's nothing in the way. It's the anger and the frustration and the fear and the darkness and the adrenaline is what keeps you from experiencing that lightness. But you can, if you amplify both of those, it teaches your body that you are in control of that emotional state. And so when your body then accepts that you're in control, rather than your subconscious just spewing your emotions, you then come into to the space of being deliberate creator. And the deliberate creation, all you have to do is attach whatever you want to the emotion, and you're connected. So,
Doing that exercise gives you a tool to prove it to yourself that this is
absolutely.
possible.
Yeah.
If you're only thinking this is possible, well, that was a great, I mean, anybody listening to this can use that tool.
And within a 2-hour period, I have dozens of those kinds of things that will move you into a state of always being in the state you want. You can always be in the state you want. Now, people who are depressed, that's great news. People who are frustrated or anxious or have anxiety, that's great news. People who are in overwhelm or burnout, they can switch burnout and overwhelm, which is extremely painful, and then also, the turmoil that's in their body is knotted and gnarled and difficult to get out of bed and do things and go to work and wishing the building was on fire so you can stay home. And then you move from
Reason
that.
why it's one reason that your program is important. Get out of bed in the morning for some people.
Yeah, and this program is under $20, and for 2 hours we'll switch you into something. We'll switch your mental state of being so you can stay into a permanent state of enjoyment. And that's only the tip of the iceberg. Everything, this 2 hours will just give you the tip of the iceberg. And guess what? You can go so much more deeper. But if you have a foundation of being able to control your energy, your emotional state, your desire, and linking it to any of those 5 faculties of mind, you can make anything happen. That's how all the great things in the world happen. For many people, it's unconscious. It just is a desire. But when you consciously know the path, it makes the probability of it happening so much greater inside of you. Increases your chances by about 80% to achieve whatever it is you want to achieve. And that's what we call success. We call success the progressive realization of a worthy goal. So, as we realize, make real, something, we experience it and it becomes real for us. And the word manifestation just means to infuse attention into that thing. So to manifest something, you have to put enough attention and emotion. Remember, it's emotion, concentration, meditation, contemplation, satori. You put enough attention into something, and then it thoughts are things. They create molecular movement, and so molecules have magnetism, right? There's a electron, positron, everything goes around an atom. So the nucleus of an atom is a positive thing, but everything that revolves around it has a negative charge, right? But the positive holds together all the negatives. So when you find the positive space of the positive emotion, everything that's negative is within your control. It revolves around you rather than you being in part of that electron jumping around from one orbit to another orbit to this orbit to that, being stimulated by, electrical impulses, but you're the gravity that holds it all together. And that is the gravity with weightlessness. It's a great paradox, so you are a weightless gravity. And you're the energy that makes all that happen. And so, that's a microcosm and macrocosm of the entire universe. As above, so below.
As within, so without.
As within, so without. Yeah. Having fun? All right, go to hell. In my life, my parents didn't want me to have fun. Don't be silly, don't be funny, don't be, nobody takes you seriously that way. Blah, blah, blah. Bullshit. Being fun and having fun has been the greatest joy of life. It's been and the greatest honor of my life. I've attracted everything that I've cared about in this life because I was joyful. Everything. It's been amazing.
And there it is.
Yeah.
You've got a lot of strategies you're going to be talking about on Wednesday, and you've shared enough here today that I don't know about everybody else listening, but I'll see you on Wednesday.
Cool. And
Absolutely.
you'll publish the link with this. So
yes, but what is the link?
I don't know it off the top of my head. It's a long link.
So we'll get it. We'll type it up.
But you can go to the emotionallawsofsuccess.com, I think. But it makes it easy to click on it if you just put it on the video or at the bottom
Yeah.
of the video or
Yeah.
whatever.
We'll make sure it's out there in the createYES Facebook group and by email and however else we can get it out there. We'll make sure people know all about it.
Yeah. And I understand that it's transformational. So, and everything that I do is transformational. The good thing about having positive energy is that it transforms, lesser states of energy. So the higher energy always dissolves or lifts the lower energy. That's how it works. So when you have somebody who has very high energy, if you have low energy, you are lifted up in their presence. Whether you can generate that or not is a second story. But when you are taught to be able to generate it, you can ascend to the higher state of energy also. And what is energy? It's life, right? You feel really alive when you're energetic. You feel like you've got it under control. It's all you. It's like powerful. You feel powerful. It's not the kind of power that manipulates. It's the kind of power that is substantial.
Elevates.
It's substantial strength in yourself. It's a surety. It's a confidence that has, magnificence. It's a confidence that has magnificence and feels magnificent. And no one can take that away from you once you've learned how to have it. It just is not refundable.
So it's pretty important. Pretty
It's
important
very
stuff.
important. I will tell you this, that every great successful person that I've known that earned their money or earned their success by being a better person that through integrity, through joy, through intensity, through focus, everyone has that state of being, has that state of bliss. The only ones that have success, financial success or otherwise, and are not happy, it's because they haven't done it in the same way. They haven't attached the joy to things, and they feel empty. And many people go through life feeling empty. They can have all the material things they want, but they feel empty. And because they feel empty, they haven't learned how to generate the proper emotions, and they let it run rampant. They let all the dark stuff run rampant within them. Now, a woman who doesn't think about baking an apple pie for dinner is not going to look up the recipe. So if you have any desires and you want to, and you want to experience something, you want to look up the recipe. Hey, baby, I got the recipe.
You do have the recipe. The spiritual laws of success, there's the recipe.
Yeah.
And of the different strategies you've talked about today, just to give us a little hint, the one that which maybe is one that I can just bring people's attention, that toggling back and forth between the state that you don't want and the state you want, and back and forth to convince yourself.
Using high amplification in each state. You have to.
Okay, good.
Unless you really amplify it dramatically.
Amplify. Okay, great. I love because that is showing me that I'm getting some of the piece, and I need to show up Wednesday to get the rest of the story.
Absolutely.
And the hearing is link together with our current experience, the experience that we have had to prove to ourselves. But link and toggle, those are the words I'm going to bring in with me when I see you on Wednesday.
Perfect. Okay, and those are key elements to elevate yourself. So linking and toggling are extraordinarily powerful. And I will tell you, when I toggle with people that are in, very undesirable circumstances, it works about 90% of the time. There are very few methodologies that work that often. So it's a very powerful state. So understand that all things are states of mind. All things are energy fields. There's an energy field for wealth. There's an energy field for poverty. There's an energy field for happiness. There's an energy field for depression. There's an energy field for whatever. And the way we experience those things is tapping into that particular kind of energy. And we, in order to do that, if we can't do it ourselves because we have a habit of being dark or difficult or, in pain or whatever the case may be, we have to be able to link it to something to elevate the state. And so it's, link and internalize, toggle and internalize.
Mm.
And, it creates a shift. It absolutely creates a shift to where your body, it's not just the shift, it's to where your body remembers the shift so that you can go to that space anytime you want. And then after a while, you live in that space and you are the embodiment of that state. The results are confidence. The results are happiness. The results are wealth. The results are social impact. The results are, loyal friendships. The results are, better circles of friends. The results are, greater love experiences. The results are sensational sex. The result, mind-blowing sex. And the results are just so numerous and so wonderful, that it's hard to, step back and say, I don't want that,
Once we expand, we cannot go back.
That's right. It's like a rubber band. If you stretch it past a certain point, it never comes back to its original tension. And here's the thing. What is it? What is tension? It means tension is the place where you are moving energy. So, and at tension means you are at the space where you are, you are moving the energy. You're at a tense movement. So you can't move anything without some form of energy. So energy is the movement, and emotion is energy in motion. So so the emotional laws are about, what laws govern this. Well, there's the law of resonance. There's the law of identity. There's the law of attraction. There's a lot of different laws. And the more we understand those laws, the easier it becomes our toolbox to reach into it and make anything we want permanent. So it's a beautiful space. I love it.
Yes.
I just, I once saw an interview with Johnny Carson, and he interviewed a 128-year-old woman. And he said, she, at that point, she was the oldest woman on earth, or at least deemed to be the oldest woman on earth. And he said, I bet you've seen some changes in your life. And she said, oh my, oh yes, I've seen so many changes. He said, well, what's the future look like? He said, very short. And he said, how have you kept such
perspective.
Yeah. He said, how have you kept such a cheerful state of mind? He said, you're 128 years old. How's it happen that you have such a cheerful state of mind? And she says, you can't see it on the outside, but the inside, I'm dancing up a storm.
Yeah. Well, let's dance up a storm.
Yeah. And that's what we're doing, definitely. I am the Michael Jackson of transformational.
Oh.
Not in the kid sense, in the dance sense.
Yeah, and I've got this vision of the spinning electrons now. That's.
Yeah. Well, there is no such thing as matter. Matter is an illusion. It's just a matter of bringing things together. So, the further down you look at something, the more infinity of space there is. So,
yes, there's nothing there.
There's nothing there.
You keep going, there's nothing there.
But there is something there. There's intelligence, and there's infinite intelligence, and there is also the desire. There's a state of desire. So there's infinite intelligence and desire at the deepest place. And what happens is that infinite intelligence creates this happening in front of you through whatever desires you bring into the experience. So a lot of what I do is I teach people at the very beginning of any course, if anybody takes a course from me ever, or the very first module of any of my courses is the quantum field. And
Mm,
if you understand the quantum field, it's really the study of subatomic energy. So so when you say subatomic, it's below the atom, below the electron, below the leptons, below the quadra, whatever the quarks and all those other little, infinitesimally small things are. The universe must escape from being uh, identified. So it has to create, it has to do mystery. So it always escapes no matter where you go. It's always going to be something bigger or something smaller. So
mm,
infinity. And as you go further and further down, what happens is that you begin to understand that there's no particleness of anything. It's just a movement of things that come together that look like a particle, and they're vibrating in the same frequency. So what happens is, as you learn the exigencies of the quantum field, is that you understand that this is the behavior of spirit. And that's what
mm,
spirit is. The quantum field is spirit. And anything beneath the atomic, I mean, everything is spirit, but the quantum field is the behavior of spirit. Studying the quantum field and studying it. But once you understand how things work, which is really the core of achieving anything, when you understand how things work, that's the first step to knowing how to make your way in the world. Then the very first thing that comes up the moment you integrate that understanding is the sense of time. And most
mm,
people think that time is a series of successions that have successive moments that happen on the face of the clock. Time has nothing to do with that. It's simply a sensation in your body, series of sensations in your body that take you from one event to another. It's nothing more than that. So time is experienced through thought. But the thought is experience comes from the sensations in your body. So it's like if you need to go from point A to point B, there's a sensation that you have to generate to get there. You have to generate a sensation. So that we interpret the transformation of the one state to the next state as time. But it isn't really, it's just another sensation. Just as you can go from toggling one side to another side, you understand that you teach your body how to control that, or your body learns that you're in control of that, and then you can generate it anytime you want. You can generate anything you want through the quantum field. So, and I teach you how to do that. I teach you how then to become a deliberate creator, because the experience of our lives really is it's really the thoughts and images of our minds that create uh, um, the instructions to the universe to make that happening in front of you, to experience that happening in front of you. So once you understand the thoughts and the images of your mind, you can then plant thoughts and images in your mind in a particular kind of way that then creates that happening and tracks it into what we call a reality, to the self-talk and through the visualizations and through the other methodologies that help stabilize you into a particular field of energy, which then becomes you are. The reason why so many of these incredibly rich billionaires and so on and so forth have so much amazing money, or Jeff Bezos is now becoming a trillionaire. He's going to be the first person in the world to become a trillionaire. But the reason why so many billionaires experience this amazing amounts of money is that they don't think about money. It's not a money thing. It's about the circulation. It's about the circulation in the same way that air, you breathe air. They have money circulating around them because they have made such a relationship with money, as life has made a relationship with air, that it just happens. So whatever it is we want, we can breathe any way we want, or stop breathing, or hold it, or release it, or whatever the case may be. They can do the same thing with money. So it's just a circulation of things that are natural to us, that we live in that energy field, and we call that money or whatever. So very interesting, huh?
To hold this, and then we have a capacity to hold that much, then we have a capacity to hold that much, and then the capacity to hold the energy and
Yeah.
the space.
You know,
But the one thing I'm learning is our use of language, such as I just said, you go down further, 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 there's nothing. And one little reframe from you, no, it's not nothing, it's infinite intelligence. Even that, and then that's a shift. I will always remember, it's not nothing, it's infinite intelligence, which is to remind myself with my language. And that use of language, what do you put after I am? What is the inner dialogue? Shifting all of that and recognizing when it's serving you well or when it's not, being to notice and shift and receive.
yeah. So there are basically 3 ways to create massive change within the body. The first is your self-image. So every time you create, you know, we can't change our self-image. That's an impossibility, though most people think they can. In order to experience something else, we can't change our self-image. We have to create a new self-image, totally new from the other one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's the first thing. The second way we change is through our belief systems, and that is the self-talk situation. What is a belief? It's just you tell yourself something over and over again until you accept it as a truth, and then your body acts on it as a truth. And so the third way, which is the most painful way, but the way that most people choose to do it, is through shock. They have to go to a threshold. They have to go to a threshold so they're shocked into change. So they say, I can't take this anymore. And then they start a whole new set of beingness, you know. So those are the 3 ways we change, and there are no other ways to change, period. So, you know, at one time, Jesus couldn't perform miracles. At another point, he could. You know, at one time, Bill Gates couldn't program a computer. At another point, he could. You know, at one point, you know, Steve Jobs didn't know anything about business. At another point, he did. You know? So it's all about belief systems, self-image, and or shock. So, you know, so I had a massive change when I was on the operating table and I had a bypass surgery. My soul rose out of my body and I could see the doctors operating at me below and I was above the ceiling and there were beings all around me. And my heart actually came out of my body and was put on a resuscitating machine for a while. And you know, there's beings and I'm watching them perform this surgery and I'm above it. Not, you know, my body isn't conscious, but my soul is there and I'm aware of my soul. And so it's watching this experience. And then the beings begin talking to me. They say, do you want to stay on Earth or do you want to transition into what we are, which is this incredible sense of amazing bright light energy, you know, joyous, cheerful, beyond cheerful, ecstatic energy. And I said, no, you know, I haven't finished my journey on Earth. I'm here because I love this woman. One of the things I'm here for is because I love this woman and I want to complete that journey with her. And that's my bet. And, you know, I was made and I was born for this to help her experience expansion in this particular way. And it thrills me. And I want to stay on this Earth to help finish that journey. And they said, okay, back in your body. Woof.
Yep.
Goes back to my body. Yeah. So.
Well, on that note, that's a beautiful way to wrap this up because you chose to come. Your journey wasn't done. All of us, we're here. Our journey isn't done. Doesn't mean we stay here. Means we grow, we reach, we keep putting that one foot in front of the other, and the path will appear as you take the step.
And we are self-organizing and self-evolving mechanism if we get out of our own way. We'll just go toward the light if we don't, you know, put this resistance and darkness in between obstacles, in between what we want and, you know, who we are. So, you know, yes, and it showed, the way is shown to you simply by holding a desire or a vision, whatever you want to call it. And it's shown to you step by step without you having to do anything. So it just simply comes. I mean, that doesn't mean you don't take action. That just means that that what is given to you is not, you know, something that you've created. It's something that the source gives you. So You created the desire for it. Source fulfills the desire in some sort of an experience. So we can sort of wrap up there.
Yes.
My program coming up on Wednesday at 3 p.m., which I hope you'll all take because it's so inexpensive, it's mind-boggling. But I just want to give back, especially in the time of coronavirus. And I'm doing that with Chris Salem, who is a longtime business coach, probably 20 or 30 years business coach. And I've had 42 years since my awakening and that I've been able to hold, actually 52 years now. So the program is the Emotional Laws of Success. I think it's emotionallawsofsuccess.com, but if not, the link is here. And you'll experience a transformation, I guarantee it. And the beauty of it is you can do it all in under 120 minutes online. You don't have to go anywhere, you don't have to do anything. And basically, bottom line is we're going to have some great fun making changes in our lives if we want to make changes. Or we can enhance our experience in the now, whatever that happens to be.
And playing in your universe.
Yeah, and Chris talks about sustainable business, and he talks about being a trusted advisor. And for those of you who want to be consultants, those of you who want to create, a long-term business success or have long-term business success and want to scale, we know how to do that. And we'll talk about any questions. It'll be interactive because it's just going to be a small group. So looking forward to sharing that with everybody. And we're going to definitely do the dance of joy and integration. So I'm a dancing fool.
Great. Well, thank you, Harrison.
It's been a
Pleasure to have you on today. And I see you on Wednesday. And I think many people who are listening right there with us, because if there's more of this, who's going to say no? We're going to say yes. We're going to show up on Wednesday. And I want to thank everyone for saying yes and showing up today. This business of mine, createYES, it's brand new, totally brand new. I'm launching. This is my beginning. And
let's pull back that arrow, that bow, and shoot the arrow. Woo!
It's going to land. It is landing. It is landed.
We got a target. We're going to hit it right in the center of the bullseye.
There we go. Bullseye.
All right.
Thank you, Harrison. My name is Victoria Bard, createYES. Harrison Klein, the laws of success, the emotional laws of success, and the I Am principle, and more. Thank you very much. And more.
Thanks, everybody.